Humanity's return to the moon has been delayed, again. On December 10, 2024, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson announced that Artemis II won't fly until April 2026, 17 months later than planned. 4 astronauts are stuck in limbo. The world is watching, and less than 48 hours later, China pounced. In this video, we'll break down what really went wrong with Artemis, how China responded so quickly, and why this delay could decide who builds the first permanent base on the moon. For over 50 years, NASA has been the unquestioned leader in human spaceflight. Apollo 11 landed on the moon on July 20, 1969. Neil Armstrong's first steps were watched by 600 million people worldwide. The space shuttle flew 135 missions between 1981 and 2011. The International Space Station has been continuously occupied since November 2, 2000. When NASA announced the Artemis program in December 2017, the world assumed America would return to the moon first. The original plan was ambitious but achievable. Artemis I, an uncrewed test flight, would launch in 2020. Artemis II would fly astronauts around the moon in 2023. Artemis III would land humans on the lunar surface by 2024. NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine said in March 2019, quote, "We're going to the moon to stay. This time, when we go to stay." Congress approved billions in funding. International partners signed on. The European Space Agency committed to building the service module. SpaceX won the contract to develop a lunar lander. Everything pointed to American dominance in the new lunar era. And that's why what happened on December 10, 2024 is such a problem. The problem started with Artemis I. On November 16, 2022, NASA launched the first test flight of the SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft. No crew aboard, just a test to prove the systems worked before risking human lives. The mission lasted 25 days. Orion flew around the moon, came back and splashed down in the Pacific Ocean on December 11, 2022. NASA declared it a success. But when engineers inspected the spacecraft in early 2023, they found something unexpected. The heat shield had eroded in over 100 locations. Small pieces of the ablative material had charred and cracked away during re-entry. The pattern didn't match computer predictions. According to NASA's official statement released in January 2023, the Orion capsule hit Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour. The heat shield reached temperatures of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That part was expected. What wasn't expected was how the material responded. Amit Kshatriya, NASA's Deputy Associate Administrator for the Moon to Mars program, told reporters in December 2024, "We need to understand why this happened before we put crew inside." The investigation took months. NASA ran simulations. They tested samples in thermal chambers. They brought in outside experts to review the data, and the more they looked, the bigger the problem became. By mid-2024, NASA realized they couldn't fix it in time for the original November 2024 launch date. Artemis II slipped to September 2025. Then, in December 2024, more analysis revealed they needed even more time. 6 additional months of testing, design modifications, validation before flight. Bill Nelson made the call. April 2026, a total delay of 17 months from the original plan. And China was paying very close attention. NASA's official statement emphasized safety over schedule. At the December 10, 2024 press conference, Bill Nelson said, quote, "We do not fly until we are ready. We will not compromise crew safety for schedule pressure. NASA's Artemis program manager Catherine Kerner told reporters, "The heat shield issue requires complete understanding. We need 6 months of additional testing, then design modifications, then validation flights." The European Space Agency, NASA's partner providing the Orion service module, issued a statement on December 12, 2024. ESA Director General Joseph Aschbacher said, "ESA supports NASA's decision. When it comes to crew safety, there is no compromise. We remain committed to Artemis." Reed Wiseman, Artemis II commander, spoke to media on December 15, 2024. "My crew and I would rather wait and do this right than rush and take unnecessary risks." But within 48 hours of NASA's announcement, China made their move. On December 12, 2024, China National Space Administration spokesperson told Chinese state media, quote, "China's lunar exploration program remains on schedule. We maintain confidence in our 2030 crewed landing timeline." Chinese state television ran stories highlighting that every Chang'e mission has met its deadline. Chang'e 5 returned lunar samples in December 2020, exactly on schedule. Chang'e 6 completed its far side sample return in June 2024, also on time. Lin Shiqiang, deputy director of the China Manned Space Agency, said in a December 13th interview, "We are taking a systematic approach. Our robotic missions are proving technology step by step. This reduces risk for our astronauts." China's official Xinhua news agency published an analysis on December 14th titled "Steady Progress versus Repeated Delays," comparing lunar programs. Russia's Roscosmos issued a statement on December 16, 2024, confirming they are accelerating their partnership with China on the International Lunar Research Station. Then the commercial space sector weighed in. Elon Musk posted on X on December 11, 2024. "Delays happen in complex programs. Safety first, always. SpaceX Starship will be ready to support Artemis whenever NASA needs us. Competition drives excellence." Blue Origin CEO Dave Limp told reporters on December 13th, "Blue Origin's Blue Moon lander development continues on schedule. We're committed to supporting America's return to the moon." Japan's JAXA issued a careful statement on December 14th. JAXA President Hiroshi Yamakawa said, "Japan remains committed to lunar exploration cooperation. We are monitoring developments in multiple programs." Experts immediately began debating what the delay means for the space race. Dr. Casey Dreyer at the Planetary Society told Space News on December 11th, "NASA made the right call. Rushing crew safety is never acceptable. One accident would set the entire program back decades." But former NASA Deputy Administrator Lori Garver saw it differently. She said in a December 12th interview with CNN, "Every delay gives our competitors an advantage. China is executing methodically while we're still troubleshooting. We're watching American leadership slip away." Dr. Namrata Goswami, independent space policy analyst, offered a third perspective in a December 15th analysis. "This isn't just about who lands first. It's about who establishes sustainable infrastructure. Both programs could succeed or fail on that measure. Speed matters, but so does staying power." Dr. Wendy Whitman Cobb at the U.S. Air Force School of Advanced Air and Space Studies said, "The moon is becoming a geopolitical flashpoint. Whoever establishes presence first will have significant advantages in setting norms and claiming resources." The message was clear. While NASA delays, the world is watching, and competitors are not waiting. So what does this delay really mean? There are three ways to look at it. The safe explanation. This is just normal engineering. NASA has always prioritized crew safety above schedule. Apollo had delays. The space shuttle had delays. Every complex human spaceflight program takes longer than originally planned. According to this view, the heat shield issue is solvable. NASA identified the problem early, before risking crew. They'll fix it, test it thoroughly, and Artemis II will fly safely in April 2026. Dr. Casey Dreyer at the Planetary Society supports this view. He told reporters, "This is NASA doing what NASA has always done, taking the time to do it right. One fatal accident would set the program back decades." The evidence for this perspective. NASA has successfully flown crew for over 60 years. They know how to solve engineering problems. The space shuttle returned to flight after Challenger and Columbia disasters. Artemis will too. But there's a second, more concerning interpretation. The moderate concern. America's spaceflight infrastructure is aging, and we're paying the price. The Artemis program uses space shuttle main engines from the 1970s and 1980s. The industrial base that built Apollo is gone. Many of the engineers who designed the original lunar systems have retired or passed away. We're trying to recreate capabilities we lost. Former NASA Deputy Administrator Lori Garver said in her December 12th interview, "We're paying the price for decades of underinvestment in new systems. We kept extending old programs instead of building new ones." This interpretation suggests the delays are systemic, not isolated. The SLS rocket costs over $2 billion per launch. Development took over a decade longer than planned. And commercial alternatives like SpaceX Starship are emerging faster and cheaper. According to this view, more delays are likely. The industrial capacity simply isn't there anymore. Then there's the third, most disturbing possibility. The radical view. The United States has already lost the moon race. Some analysts think China's steady, methodical approach will win. While NASA delays and troubleshoots, China completes mission after mission. Chang'e 5, Chang'e 6, soon Chang'e 7. No missed deadlines in 15 years. Dr. Namrata Goswami said, "China is building infrastructure while we're still testing. By 2030, they may have a functioning lunar base while Artemis is still attempting its third flight." This interpretation is controversial but gaining attention. China isn't just planning to visit the moon, they're planning to stay. The International Lunar Research Station with Russia, resource extraction tests by 2028, permanent presence by the early 2030s. Meanwhile, NASA's timeline keeps slipping. Artemis II now in 2026. Artemis III no earlier than 2027. Lunar Gateway delayed. And every delay gives China more time to establish facts on the ground, or rather, facts on the moon. The evidence. China hasn't missed a single Chang'e deadline. Their Long March 10 rocket for crewed missions is in testing. Their lunar lander is in development. And they're not waiting for anyone's permission. 3 explanations, 3 futures. Right now, we don't know which one is true, but the next 3 years will decide. So what's coming next? Here's what we know. NASA's official timeline going forward. Artemis II launches in April 2026. 4 astronauts fly around the moon but don't land. It's a test of all systems with crew aboard. Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen will spend about 10 days in space. If that succeeds, Artemis III targets mid to late 2027. That's the lunar landing mission. 2 astronauts will land at the moon's south pole using SpaceX's Starship human landing system. The first woman and first person of color on the moon. But there's a big dependency. SpaceX must complete at least 10 more Starship test flights and demonstrate orbital refueling. Transferring propellant between two spacecraft in orbit has never been done before. Artemis IV is scheduled for 2028. That mission will use NASA's Lunar Gateway, the small space station that will orbit the Moon. The European Space Agency is building key modules. Then there's China's counter-timeline. Chang'e 7 launches in 2026 to the lunar South Pole, the same region NASA is targeting. It's a robotic mission to scout landing sites and test resource extraction technologies. Chang'e 8 follows in 2028. This mission will test 3D printing of building materials using lunar regolith, essentially making bricks on the Moon. China is preparing for construction. China's crewed landing is officially scheduled for 2030. 2 Chinese astronauts will land using the new Long March 10 rocket and a dedicated lunar lander. Both are currently in development and testing. The International Lunar Research Station, China's partnership with Russia, begins construction in 2030 as well, possibly with additional partners including South Africa, Venezuela, and Pakistan. Then there's the commercial sector and international players. SpaceX is developing Starship at rapid pace. Flights 7 through 12 are scheduled through early 2026. Each test pushes closer to orbital refueling capability. Elon Musk has said Starship could be ready for NASA whenever needed. Blue Origin's Blue Moon cargo lander targets 2029 for its first mission. It's designed to deliver up to 5 tons of cargo to the lunar surface. Japan's JAXA is developing their own lunar lander and has partnerships with both NASA and India's ISRO. Europe continues work on Lunar Gateway modules and the service module for Orion. What could change the race? Here are the wild cards. Best case for NASA. SpaceX completes Starship testing ahead of schedule. Artemis II flies perfectly in April 2026. Artemis III happens in early 2027, beating China's 2030 timeline by 3 years. America establishes first crewed presence and sets the terms. Worst case for NASA. More technical problems emerge. Another delay pushes Artemis II into late 2026 or 2027. Artemis III slips to 2028 or 2029. China lands in 2030 as planned and begins building infrastructure while America is still completing test flights. Best case for China. Their Long March 10 and lunar lander development stays on schedule. They land in 2030 with no delays. They begin regular missions while NASA is still ramping up. They establish de facto control over key South Pole resources. Worst case for China. Development problems with their new hardware. Their first attempt in 2030 fails or delays. NASA lands first and claims the high ground, literally and figuratively. The experts have predictions. Dr. Matthew Holman at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics said, "The next 2 years are critical. Whoever executes their next 2 missions flawlessly probably leads the race through 2035. Former astronaut Terry Virts told reporters, "This is still America's race to lose. We have better technology and more experience. But we have to actually fly missions, not just plan them." Dr. Namrata Goswami predicts, "China's methodical approach will likely win. They're building a program for the long term, not racing for a photo opportunity." One thing is certain, the next 3 years will be decisive. 2026, 2027, and 2028 will determine who builds the first permanent human presence beyond Earth orbit. We thought America's return to the Moon was inevitable. The most powerful nation, the biggest budget, the legacy of Apollo. Everything pointed to American dominance in the new lunar era. But On December 10th, 2024, that certainty cracked. Artemis II delayed by 17 months, China accelerating their timeline, international partners watching carefully. The space race suddenly open again. We learned that legacy doesn't guarantee leadership, that past achievements don't ensure future success, that competitors don't wait while you solve problems. Here's what that means for humanity. The moon isn't just a destination anymore. It's the gateway to everything beyond Earth. Whoever establishes presence there first shapes the rules for space exploration for generations. Water ice at the lunar poles could fuel missions to Mars. Rare metals could power new technologies. Helium-3 might revolutionize energy production. These aren't science fiction scenarios. They're strategic resources that nations are now racing to control. Dr. Casey Dreyer said it best. We're watching the most significant moment in space exploration since Apollo, but this time, it's not about planting a flag and leaving. It's about who stays. That's the real race. Not who lands first, but who builds infrastructure that lasts, who creates sustainable presence, who establishes the norms for resource extraction, territorial claims, and international cooperation. The decisions made in the next 3 years will echo for decades, maybe centuries. Will the moon's future be cooperative or competitive? Will resources be shared or claimed? Will space remain a realm of peaceful exploration or become another arena for geopolitical conflict? Right now, those questions are being answered not in conference rooms but on launch pads, in engineering facilities, in the decisions about whether to delay for safety or push forward for advantage. 4 astronauts are waiting to fly. Engineers are solving heat shield problems. China is building rockets. And the clock is ticking. The next chapter of human spaceflight is being written. And unlike Apollo, this time we're not writing it alone. We map the universe, one mission at a time. The race to the moon is just one story in a universe full of them. Every mission, every discovery, every decision shapes what comes next. Some of those stories are being written right now, while others are still unfolding in ways we can't yet predict. If you want to stay ahead of what's happening in space exploration, subscribe and turn on notifications. New videos cover the missions, the science, and the competition that's redefining humanity's future beyond Earth. Until then, keep looking up.